Chapter 1. It's 2020. The end. This could have been the shortest TED Talk in the history of TED Talks. But is it? Is it really the end? I say 2020 is the perfect season for self-reflection, a reaffirmation, and a reconsideration of our approach. Think about it. 2020. When I was granted the opportunity to be here, which was many moons ago, it feels like, I said, wow, what a privilege and an opportunity. A TEDx, I don't even know who TED is, but a TEDx, really? And now I'm here, and I'm terrified. If you can't see it, my knees are shaking. But I thought, that's okay, because this is happening, and it's happening now. But the message that I want to share is something that is far more profound than my terrifying fear. And it is about all of these constructs, this tapestry of what it means to be a great leader, to build a team, to do it on a level of resiliency and trust that is profound. And then there's all of these really nerdy concepts that go along with it, like knowledge management, performance management, thinking about building a social ecology, which I tell you is a real thing. And this is the weaving, this tapestry of what I call human capital. And I was introduced to this in my undergrad studies and my grad studies, and now for some reason I'm a glutton for punishment, and I'm doing all of this research about it as well. But it's really a very real thing, a thing that has quite tangible and intangible impacts. So when we think about this real thing, and I'm going to ask you to humor me for a moment, right? I want everyone to close your eyes. No peeking. I see some of you without your eyes closed. Now, do me a favor and think about your best boss that you've ever had. Now, wait a minute. Boss does a disservice to the word. I want you to imagine and visualize your most amazing superhero teacher, leader, mentor that you've ever had the privilege of working with. All right, do you have that person? I see some satisfaction on some faces out here. I can actually tell you're smiling under your mask right now. Now, what are some words and some characteristics that come to mind when you're thinking of this person? I would guess that maybe you would say that that person is knowledgeable. Maybe that person is a teacher-doer. How about a visionary? How about a person that you've grown to rely on and trust? But on a larger concept, how about that person gives you a sense of belonging? There's power in that, right? Now, let's shift our perception. Close your eyes again. I would like you to think about the worst boss you've ever had. Oh yeah, that supervisor. That manager. Ooh, and I'm so sorry because some of you look a little nauseous right now. And I bet you have characteristics that you're thinking of about that person, right? Or persons. I know I've got a few. But we're not going to share our thoughts on those because that is not meant for this channel at this time. We'll save those thoughts for after dark. But do you see the power in how that can influence you? That is the power of human capital. Now, it wasn't too long ago, just a few days ago, my better half actually said something to me that was so profound. He said, we want to do the right thing for the right people. Think about that. You want to be a part of something where you can do the right thing for and with the right people. That is what motivates us. Which brings me to a story of when I met my best friend. Now, this was many moons ago, probably 18 years ago at this point. It was a series of happen, chance, and unfortunate events. And I was obliged to go to a meeting that I thought, in all of my infinite knowledge and wisdom, in my early 20s, I do not want to be there. I knew that I would not like any of these people that would be with me in this meeting, perhaps. And I wanted to find my way out before I got in, and I walk in and I'm like, I don't want to even be a part of this. I don't belong here. And I looked around the room, I'm canvassing everybody that's there, and I'm like, absolutely, I am not meant to be here now. And then I look across, and oh my gosh, I just made eye contact with someone. That kind of eye contact where you look away really quickly, almost like you just walked in on somebody in the bathroom, like you want to take it back. And she's starting to come over to me. Here she comes. And she's got this saunter, this kind of goofy little way about herself, which I'll say is quite annoying. And she looked at me and she said, "Hi, friend." What? First of all, I don't even know you. Second of all, I'm not your friend. But then these walls that we tend to put up around ourselves, these self-preserving walls to protect us from, anything in the outside, started to come down with two simple words. And I thought, is she really this type of reasonable and decent human being? Time went on, we ended up being best of friends. But as you can see, two very powerful words, simple words, as a hi friend, started to build this thing, not only between she and I, but on a larger scope within our social network, which is a social ecology. And we developed this community of sorts, this sense of belonging, which is really what it's about to feel like when you're included. Which brings me to the pandemic. Hot topic, right? There are two schools of thought in this experience, at least in my opinion. We've got those folks who life as they know it has been obliterated, right? That they have been forced into a transition plan that they would have never anticipated to pivot and remake their life as their own based on whatever they have available. And then there's the other group, which is the marathon group. It's got extremely busy to the point where we cannot even take a moment to regroup and think about things, where it's just been so intense and so demanding. I am part of that group. I work for a major healthcare system, local major healthcare system. And part of that marathon group has required, especially at the beginning of this, so we're talking February, March-ish, many early mornings. Now bear with me a moment, because with these early mornings and what my better half calls my HR clicky shoes, I would walk into the hospital, make my way to the lobby and through to the elevator. And around the corner comes this gentleman who I grew to know and develop a working relationship with. And every morning, especially between the 5:30, 6:30 a.m. hour, I would be making my way to the elevator and he would be coming around the side. And I would say, "Well, top of the morning, sir." And he would say, "Well, good morning, Dianna." And he'd say, "How is your day going?" And I'd say, "Fantastically well." And he'd say, "That's wonderful, mine is too." And as we began to continue to meet about that same time at dark 30, I grew to learn that what he was doing was he was leaving his team that worked in this department, the third shift, after he would round with them and say, "How is it going? Is there anything I can do? What do you need? How is your family?" Right? And when he did that, what he was doing was establishing this foundation, this high level of trust, which is quite profound, because I know, especially for those of you that were looking a little nauseated a few moments ago, when you had that boss, that manager, who would just breeze through the office and say, "Oh, how are you?" But they really didn't care what your response was, because they really didn't want to know, because they really were not that in tune with you and what your needs were at that time. See, what that superhero teacher, leader, mentor was doing is every morning he was starting his day, taking maybe an hour, a little more, to not only interact with his first shift, his second shift, but his third shift. But he was building what I like to call a foundation of trust. Because you cannot develop this quickly. It's not like a magic wand that you can wave so quickly to say, yes, I'm going to create a perfect culture. But what he was doing, and this is going to get a little cliche, so bear with me for a moment, was he was planting roots. And from those roots, what do you think could grow? And if you visualize the roots growing into a beautiful tree, a tree with a canopy as wide as you can imagine, we'll call that tree inclusion. From that tree, if we go back and digress a little bit, think about that social ecology. He's developing that team. And that team is now sitting under this beautiful tree of inclusion. They all get along, it's trust, it's wonderful. Now, not every day is perfect, believe me, because I wake up on some days I don't even like myself. I can't imagine anybody else liking me too. But under that tree, this team sits. But there's one more, and I'm going to take it to the next level of cliche. That tree is blossoming. And from those blossoms, we've got mattering fruit. And I don't know about you, but we're in a season where mattering means the most. Where I can say, you, and you matter. Now, why is that important? Think about it. Think about what he's doing and that leadership and that connectivity that he is establishing in his team. That right there is what it means to be authentic. So when we take those concepts, we've got a social ecology, we've got this community of practice, and then we've got that superhero leader mentor who is empowering and engaging his team. Those are all of those intangibles, right? The glitter and the rainbows and butterflies of human capital. But there's one more piece where it crosses into now the real world, and that's the ownership. So there's a recent Gallup poll, and in the Gallup poll, and this is what tells you that this is all real and how it has very real impacts. The Gallup poll stated that 55% of the American workforce is complacent. Okay, so what's that mean? Complacency. Not everybody is going to have a high performer day, right? Complacency means higher absenteeism, lower productivity, and losses in profitability. But let's take that Gallup information and let's put it into real tangibles. If you take $10,000 worth of an employee's salary and you put 55% complacency on it, which equals out to be about 34%, I did the math, you end up with $3,400 worth of loss. Now let's double that concept and let's think about the average American salary. $47,000 is what it is. I would question that, especially after the pandemic. $47,000, if you take 34% of that, $15,980 per employee in complacency costs, lower productivity. Take that ownership. Now, if you don't feel like there is a sense to want to build a culture, build a change, believe in a social ecology, well, then I would beg to differ. So when you take all of that and you put it together and you think about what it means to develop and engage and be an authentic leader, I would say this. What is it that you would do to develop that highly technical, high friend principle? Do you also have the stamina and the energy that it takes to be that superhero leader mentor who is connecting with his team on a regular basis, making them a priority? I would have to say the notorious RBG said it the best when she said, real change, enduring change happens one step at a time. So my call to action to you is this. As leaders, take that step in developing an authentic leadership approach. Turn the chapter, plant your tree, add some inclusion and some mattering fruit. Thank you.